Hi there and welcome back. In this video, we want to talk about the founder's journey capabilities. So what are the capabilities that you acquire as a founder as you go through the relevant stages? So let me put it to you this way. If you look at the character traits that a founder needs to develop to become successful, you will discover that you are able to develop those character traits as you journey through life, as you journey through your entrepreneurial activities, as you journey through the founder stages. You will automatically create and generate the capabilities necessary for your success. That's what makes this extraordinary, okay? So let's take a look at what some of those could be. Again, we're talking about the founder's journey, but we're looking at the capabilities that you acquire, because for me and you, that truly is the real asset. All right, let's go. So now, stage one. These are the capabilities you acquire when you are in the explorer stage. When you start from 0 and get to number 10 on the explorer scale, these are the kind of character traits or capabilities that you actually develop. Number one is you now learn how to recognize opportunities. See, you may not know this, but when you are in the explorer stage, you're actually choosing from different types of opportunities that show up. You are choosing the right one. So in the process of making those types of choices, you become more aware of what real opportunities look like. So it helps you to recognize opportunities. You identify gaps in the market. You see possibilities that other people miss. Now, what else? You become more self-aware. Some people are not aware of their own strengths and their own weaknesses. And until you get to the point where you recognize what you are good at and what you are not good at, it's going to be difficult to succeed. So when you are in the explorer stage, experience will teach you to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. If you ask some business people who have just started, what are you good at? They may not be able to tell you. If you ask them what are they not good at, they may actually not be able to tell you. Why? They've not experienced it. They've not gone through the explorer stage to teach them how to identify the things they're good at and the things they're not good at. Okay. Next, it will teach you to experiment. You'll be able to test ideas, try new approaches. And number 4 is going to teach you to tolerate uncertainty. One of the reasons why people don't start in business, they want everything to be fixed, like in their current workplace. They're looking at an established business who is in the, let's say, if we're going to apply that, who's in the visionary stage. They're looking at a business at work and saying, yeah, when I get everything in the right order, like I have at work, then I'll start. Oh, no, 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 no. In entrepreneurship, you have to become comfortable with uncertainty. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Do you understand what I mean? You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable until you get to the point where you are able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're not going to start anything, because when you're running a business, some things are not just as clear as you will want it. So one of the skills you develop at this stage of exploration is tolerance for uncertainty. You'll be able to take action without having all the answers. You become comfortable with taking risk. One of the reasons why people still don't want to take risk is because they have not gone beyond the exploration stage. They've not gone beyond the explorer stage. Okay, what else? You become more curious. You will ask better questions. Somebody says the success you become depends on the questions you ask. True. You will learn how to seek knowledge, and you will learn how to explore more opportunities. But critically, what the explorer stage does is to enable you to develop the ability to discover opportunities. This capability would be useful for your whole entrepreneurial life. In fact, it will be useful for life. So when we talk about the explorer stage, it's not one to skip at all. It is one to actually be excited to do because learning to spot opportunities is so critical to your success. So that when you hear, okay, let me give an example. A few years ago now, I had a friend who I actually was consulting for him. Then we became friends. And so I was going into a particular business. The business was a multi-level marketing business, and it was selling a particular health product. And back then, you know, it was new. We were in the new phase of multi-marketing. And he had done it many times. I mean, he had done many businesses, to be honest, more businesses than I had done. And he was operating at a much higher scale than I was operating then. He was one of those people that charged like £3,000 a day for consulting, even back then. So he understood a lot of things that I didn't understand. So I spoke to him about that business, and he told me, he said, okay, when was this product launched into the market? I told him, I said, about 6-9 months ago. He said, Bumi, don't worry about it. Don't bother with it. I'm not interested in it. I'm not going to do it, because I tried to get him involved. Said, oh, I'm not doing it. I said, why is that? He said, those who are going to make money have already made money. Wow. I was like, whoa, isn't he a bit proud and boastful? He said to me, Bumi, listen, in multi-level marketing, you got to get in early. 6 months is too late. Wow. I said, oh, yeah, well, anyway, I'm still going to try. Yeah, I did. I tried. It was for my learning too. That's why I can talk about it today. So I learned that he was right. Those who had made money had already made money and done. So I was even making more money for them than I was making myself. It was a complete waste of time. Even though I worked it, I recruited people, I got more people, it still didn't produce any fruit, but it was a good learning experience. Now I can look at opportunities and know that is an opportunity or that is not an opportunity, just like him. And other people are irritated when I tell them that's not an opportunity. The reason why I can say that is because I've been through this explorer stage many times, and I have developed these capabilities that I'm sharing with you. The tolerance for uncertainty, the curiosity, the experimentation, the self-awareness, the opportunity recognition. So therefore, I can say confidently that, yeah, most of the time, yeah, that's going to work, that's not going to work. I'm not saying that I'm 100% correct. Nobody is. But you begin to recognize patterns that help you to avoid waste of time. Okay, that is what you gain from being an explorer. So don't skip that opportunity to explore. What about the builder stage? What capabilities do you acquire as you go through the builder stage? Number one is you acquire the ability to execute. By execute mean you know how to turn ideas into real businesses. You know how to take action consistently, and you know how to sell. It is in stage 2, the builder stage, that you learn how to sell. Not only that, you learn how to handle objections, and you learn how to generate your first sales in the builder stage. So if I'm talking to somebody who is still in the explorer stage about generating their first sales, it's a waste of time, because they have not even chosen what business they're going to work on. So they cannot sell anything because they don't have nothing to sell. But in the builder stage, you learn how to handle objection without being angry. I was thinking it's like dating. You learn how, some women can just tell you no and tell you harshly, and you are still okay. You're not going to lose your mind. You learn how to do that before you get married. Just learn how to do that. Next is you also learn customer understanding. You learn how to understand your customers, how to listen to your customers. You learn how to improve your offer because you're constantly talking to people. Number 4, you learn resilience. You learn how to handle rejection. You don't lose your mind because you were rejected. You recover quickly from setback. That's where you learn it. I really love this. When some people started as an explorer, didn't quite go through the builder stage properly to acquire these skills, and they moved straight on to the maybe operator stage. When they get rejected at the operator stage, they have no resilience to prop them up when they get rejected. So therefore, what happens is that they decide business is not for me. If you're at that point where because you failed in business, something didn't work, you got rejected or something happened, you say business is not for me, it's because you had not developed the capabilities in the builder stage to make you resilient to objection and rejection, and you have gone ahead to being an operator or a growth founder without learning resilience, then that's why you made that decision. So don't skip any stages. Make sure you go through it properly and gain the capabilities necessary for you to stand in the future. Then you also learn validation, separating assumption from evidence. So you learn that, hey, I've tested my product and this is what the market is saying. All right. What is the key insight in being a builder, going through the builder stage? The builder develops the ability to create value. The ability to create value and to bring it to the marketplace. The ability to create a valuable product and bring it to the marketplace. The ability to create a viable service and bring it to the marketplace. You learn how to do that. Without going through the builder stage and learning all this that we talked about, is going to be difficult for you to actually, okay, let me go back here. It's going to be difficult for you to be able to bring value into the marketplace. That's what you learn. You know what? What all this is teaching me, what it's saying to me is that, wow, there are more abilities, more assets that I gain from going through the founder's journey. These are real assets. These are lifetime assets that can never be taken away from you once you've gone through them. Okay, stage 3, the operator stage. What do you acquire? During this stage, the founder learns to sustain whatever they built. They learn about creating systems, creating habits, being disciplined, and turn early wins into lasting results. How do you turn early wins into lasting results? You learn it here. Number 1, you learn consistency. You learn how to deliver repeatedly. You learn how to create reliability. You learn time management because you have to do a lot of a variety of things. You learn how to prioritize efficiency. You learn how to manage competing demands. You're now becoming a leader here. You're moving towards leadership here. You're moving towards leading yourself to now in between the stage of you now learning to lead 1 or 2 others. You've got to learn to lead the consultants you're working with, or you're learning to lead the contractors you're working with. Even if you're hiring on Fiverr or you're hiring on Odesk, or Odesk is gone now, or you're hiring on other platforms, you are also learning to manage them. I work with a lot of consultants. I have to manage them as we go along. So you learn to do that in the operator stage. What else do you learn? Let's go. Let's take a look. You learn how to think in systems. You learn how to think in systems. Systems are your operating procedure. How do you work? You learn how to reduce chaos. You learn how to increase efficiency. You learn how to use things like GPTs to create efficiency in your business. You are learning GPT, but you have nothing to apply to because you're still at the explorer stage, even though you can use GPT. I'm not saying you cannot use GPT even at the explorer stage, but I'm just saying that the ability to really use it in a focused way to generate good results is not there yet of a product. Again, you learn problem solving. You learn how to make decisions under pressure. You learn how to manage day-to-day challenges. And then finally, you learn how to be accountable. You learn about managing commitment and delivering results. This can only be acquired because you go through these stages. All right. This is the key insight right here. The key insight is that the operator develops the ability to sustain success. The operator develops the ability to sustain success. Remember, the operator has learned how to explore, they've learned how to build, now they've learned how to operate. Okay, now you move to the growth founder. What capabilities do you get as a growth founder? During this growth founder stage, the founder learns to scale beyond themselves. They learn to build teams. So like I said in my previous video, if you have not watched the different stages of a founder, please go watch that because I gave more details about each of the stages. You learn how to build teams. You learn how to delegate trust. You learn how to think strategically about the long term. This is where you going to a John Maxwell seminar becomes relevant. So you go to John Maxwell or you read a lot of John Maxwell books. You can not only apply it to yourself, but you can apply it to other people. So you learn to lead. You learn to inspire others. You learn how to set direction. That's why sometimes when we say certain things against leaders, or we talk about people who are in a higher stage than, oh my goodness, I love this. When we talk about people who are in a higher stage than we are, and we are looking at them with the goggles of the stage that we are in, we tend to make judgments that are not right because we are not at their stage. So we don't know what they're grappling with. We don't know what they have to do. We are not aware of it because we have no experience of it whatsoever. So, for example, okay, somebody might say, I'm being political. I'm not being political, and I know that we have some government leaders that don't have any business being there. I understand that. But sometimes, even when a manager at work makes a decision, you may not necessarily agree with it because you are operating from the position of an employee that are in management. So they need to make management decisions. So therefore, you're looking at them from the goggles of where you are. You can look at a Jeff Bezos now from the goggles of where you are, and you're making certain judgments because you have not been in their position. You are not in their position. You are in a different position. So you have to be careful how you make judgments about people who are in a different stage than what you are. Because one day, somebody else will be making judgment about you when you get to position stage 5 when they are in stage 1. Leadership is one of them. You learn how to lead others. You learn how to delegate. You learn how to let go of control, how to let someone else do it. even if you're not going to do it well, let someone else do it. And you go do something else. One of the hardest things for small businesses is to let go of control. But you learn that as you grow through the founder stage. Because at this point, you cannot do everything yourself. It's just impossible. Your business has naturally grown beyond you. Naturally, it has evolved beyond who you are. It is beginning to evolve out of, it is beginning to get out of your control naturally. And that's a good thing. That other people can do things that you don't know. You get to a point where you go to a department, you realize that you don't even know who's there because that department has hired people and they didn't need you as the founder to have hired the person. Okay, I understand that when you're hiring at a high level, but you cannot be involved in hiring every single person. If you're hiring 100 people, if you have 100 people working in your organization, you cannot be involved in hiring people every day. You don't have time to do anything. So you learn how to let go of control. Let someone else do it. You learn strategic thinking. You learn how you can see the bigger picture, how you can make long-term decisions. You learn how to build teams. You learn how to recruit talent. You learn how to create high-performance teams. You learn that in the growth stage because it's going to become critical for you in the next stage that you are going to. Guess what you also learn? You learn how to achieve more through systems and people multiplication. You learn how to achieve things through systems. Important. I'm telling you this, it's really critical. Now, what is the important thing about this particular stage? The growth founder develops the ability to scale success. The growth founder develops the ability to scale success. This is where scaling matters. Scaling doesn't really matter when you're in the explorer stage because you have nothing to scale. You cannot even scale at the build stage because you have nothing to scale yet. You still haven't made your first sale. You're just working on making that. You're working, and by the time you get to the operator stage, well, you may think about scaling, but really, it's only when you get to the growth stage where your sales are now consistent, you can now are able to scale. Okay, so what other capabilities do you acquire as you go on to the final stage? This is the visionary stage. Okay? During this stage, founders learn to think beyond the business. They think about creating a movement, shaping an industry, and building something that outlasts them. Let me tell you something. When you are still in the operator stage and growth stage, you haven't got time to be thinking about shaping the industry. You're thinking, how am I going to make money? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay all these employees? But once you get past that, you start thinking, okay, we need to shape the industry. That's why those who shape industries are the people who have a voice. And you get a voice as you go up in your journey as a founder. What else can we talk about here? What are the capabilities that a visionary founder acquires? Number one, they acquire vision creation. They're able to create compelling futures. They're able to inspire large-scale action. You know, when Tony Robbins does an event that has like 600,000 people attended. When Alex Hormozi does an event, he has similar numbers. They have huge numbers. They have huge followings, okay? They start thinking about leaving a legacy. They're thinking about building something that outlasts them. That's what someone like Cornell Sanders built that other businesses didn't build because he was thinking about it. They think about influence. They think about building movements, shaping industries. They think about acquiring wisdom that enables them to have different perspectives. They think about stewardship, managing resources. This is where they start talking about sustainability. They create sustainable impact over time. They're able to do this because they acquire these capabilities because they are going through this visionary stage, which is the final stage of the founder's development. Okay. What is the key insight here? Well, the key insight is that visionary founders develop the ability to create lasting impact. They develop the ability to create lasting impact. That's exactly what happens when people go through these stages. Now, I want to say something in closing as I begin to pull this together. Guess what? The greatest asset actually is not the business that we build. Most founders believe they're building a business. And yeah, in reality, they are building a business, but they're building more than a business. They're building two things. They're building a business and they're building themselves. Let me say that again. When you go through this journey as an entrepreneur, you are doing two things. You are building a business, yes, but you're also building yourself. And you see, the building yourself part of it is more important than the business, because when you can build yourself, you can always build a business anywhere. You can always build a business anytime. That's why those who have reached the growth, the operator, the growth and visionary stage, you find out that they can pick up a product and they can make it work because they've acquired the capabilities that has enabled them to build themselves. I think it was, what's this guy's name? The one that does property. He went to Grant Cardone. He went to a new city and he bought property without any money. He landed in that city with $50 or something. He did this live thing. He landed in the city with bare minimum amount of money, just enough to survive. And then before you knew it, within 3 days, he bought a property. Well, how can he do that? How can he do that? Because he had developed himself to such a point that wherever he goes, he can recreate what he has at home because he has developed himself. So let's look at this. You build a business, meaning build a product, build service, build customers, build revenue. But hey, the founder themselves build experience. They build judgment. They build confidence. They build resilience. They build leadership ability. They build wisdom. The business may change. The market may change. Even products may change, but the capabilities you acquire will always, always remain the same. The capabilities that you acquire will always remain the same. Now, this is why I love this framework. This is why I love this founder's journey and adaptive startup. I'll tell you why. It is about acquiring capabilities. That's what founders can revisit. That's why founders can revisit the explorer or builder later in their careers and move through those faster. That is why a founder can come onto a social media platform and scale fast because they've learned how to do it over time. That's why when you try to replicate it, you discover that it didn't work for you. Okay, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I run regularly in something called a park run. If you're part of a park run movement, you know it's all around the world. It runs on Saturdays at 9 o'clock every morning. All right. One thing I noticed was that everyone that comes and runs fast under half an hour, generally the average time it takes to do a park run is about 35 minutes around the UK, for example. So when I see somebody who's coming for the first time and they're running under half an hour, and I asked them, I said, hey, Is this your first? I haven't seen you here though. I was like, oh, that's my first time. What did you run? Oh, I ran 25 minutes, or I ran it in 28 minutes. I'm like, wow, that's fast. I go, have you run before? No. So, oh, okay. So what? I now asked them, and I've discovered that the only reason they could do that is because they've been doing something else before. So I always ask them, so have you done any other form of exercise before? Yeah. That's when I discovered that they've either been doing horse riding, they've been playing tennis, they've been playing basketball, they've been playing football, they go to the gym regularly. Yeah, of course. Over time, they have gained the expertise and experience necessary to run, even though they had not run. Just what I mean. That's how it works with your own journey, because they have gained the expertise. So somebody who has gained the expertise of what it takes to have a YouTube success, when they come onto TikTok, you will discover that they can succeed faster than somebody who has not acquired the experience to succeed anywhere. So what we are saying here is that when you go through the founder's journey, you acquire expertise that enables you to act faster as you go on to the future, even when you return to an earlier stage. For example, you can return to an earlier stage of explorer and builder because you're launching a product. You're going to go through it faster. You're going to recognize things faster because you've acquired those capabilities. When you go back to an earlier stage, you are not starting from scratch. Actually, let's read this, because they are not starting from scratch. They're actually bringing with them all the capabilities they have acquired on the journey, because capabilities compound. The real asset, the greatest asset a founder possesses is not the business they build, it is the person they become in the process of building it. Somebody says, wow, I think it was Brian Tracy who said, I will be a millionaire again because of what being a millionaire makes me to become. So they will say things like, it's not the being a millionaire that matters, it's who you have to become to be a millionaire that actually matters. They're talking about, the founder's journey, who they become as they go through the process. All right. I've created a GPT, a tool that will help you to assess where you are on the founder's journey. It will not only do that, it will tell you what you need to do next, and it will tell you what to avoid and how to move forward from one stage to the next. You need that. So if you look at the description, you will find the assessment tool link. Go in there on the thank you page. It will have the assessment link. Use it and know exactly where you are on this stage. Are you an explorer? Are you a builder? Are you an operator? Are you a growth founder, or are you a visionary founder? Thank you so much for watching this video. God bless you, and I'll see you soon as we talk more about the founder's journey and adaptive startup. See you soon.